My name is Carolyn Verdon. I'm part of the Lenawee County League. For many, many years, the League of Women Voters has printed a voter guide for the general election in the even years when the executive races are held. Michiganders have looked forward to it, and many local leagues have wondered whether they could produce their own. Today, I'm going to walk you through how you can do just that by exporting an HTML file from the VOTE411 system and then copying and pasting it into the blank area of a Word document. Once in Word, there will be some formatting involved to make it your own, but it is definitely something you might want to give a try. There are a number of items you need to consider to decide upon and to complete before you begin. Printing a guide can be rather costly, so size matters. Decide on the local and state races, if any, that you wish to include. Consider limiting the number of questions you ask a candidate and setting character limits on their responses. This can shorten your guide quite a bit. Our Michigan VOTE411 directors enter all state and executive races. If you wish to include your House and Senate representatives, you need to request this specific information from them. Your local VOTE411 administrators play an integral part in this process. She or he exports and forwards the HTML file to you when you've requested it. They also input your questions and set the character limits in the system. State and local directors have timelines, usually based around the availability of absentee ballots before the general election. Candidates are given a deadline to complete the questions asked of them, and you should hold your request until that date has passed. This slide and the next two pertain to the VOTE411 administrators. In the system, under Races and Measures, check the box before the name of each race to be exported. Select Export, located above the columns. Under Export Selected Races, choose the option Races HTML. From this image, you can see at the top of the screen that the HTML file has been downloaded and can be now found on your computer in your download folder. Look to the left and you'll see that a check mark has been marked before the races, and then above the district column, there's a button for export. This image is of the exported selected races pop-up. You select the race circle, and then you choose export. Now it's time for your creative process to begin. At this time, open a blank Word document, and I suggest that you enter a couple page breaks. This will allow you to insert a title page, a table of contents, or any messaging you'd like to place at the beginning of your guide. This step can actually be started ahead of time while you're waiting for your exports. Locate and open the HTML file your administrator provided. Copy the entire document. Paste it into your Word document, but pay attention to whether you're choosing Keep Source Formatting or Merge Formatting as your paste option. I'll explain the difference when I preview the sample guide options. Name and save your document, then begin formatting to your liking. Saving it at least protects your start point in the event you have to begin again. And I've been there and I've done that. Congratulations, now you can put your stamp on it. I'm going to begin pulling up a couple of documents so you can see the results of the process. This slide is an example of an HTML file that was exported from the system and pasted using source formatting. This slide is an example of a partial HTML file. It lists the name of the race and its description, followed by the candidate's name, biographical information, and one of the questions asked in candidate's answer. Just so you can picture how big your guide can get, this candidate was asked 4 questions, and he responded to each. He also responded in Spanish, so his responses alone nearly took up 2 pages. This image is a partial of the same race using the merge option in Word and manipulation on my part. At this time, I'm going to bring up the practice guides I created for my local unit using the data from the 2023 election. This first example is created by using source formatting as a base option. I created a title page. I made make a plan to vote image inserted. And then you can see both the questions that were answered in English and Spanish for this candidate. The only adjustments I made to the actual export were to delete any questions that were not answered by the candidate. I adjusted the page breaks and I inserted page numbering. If they did not answer questions, I deleted that information to save space. As you can see by this candidate here, I inserted the statement, no candidate response to the question. Although the option was the least amount of work, I was limited on what I could actually change. I used the merge paste option. I again created title page, inserted make a voting plan image, took the time to create a table of contents. I deleted unanswered questions, adjusted page ending, and inserted page numbers. I also made font adjustments, removed unnecessary lines, and added color highlighting. I was able to spruce it up a little bit. And by the way, this is my first attempt at creating a guide. It was a trial and error process, but I learned a lot just by making this attempt. Helpful hints. Keep your formatting consistent throughout. As an example, when I use the merge options, I highlighted each candidate's name and colored them in red so they'd stand out. I had to review each candidate to make these modifications and also with the races. You'll have to adjust your page endings every now and then, no matter which option you choose. But I recommend doing that after you've made all your other changes. Deleting information when candidates didn't respond helped shorten the guide a lot. It made no sense to have space for the unanswered. If you also save your document as a PDF, you could share this quite easily. I could post it online with your libraries, local newspapers, throughout your community as an option with a no print option copy. It can be a lot of work, so reach out to those in your league that have good word processing skills. I actually practiced making one for this year's primary. Mind you, none of the candidates had been invited yet from either the state or my local league. Without making any formatting adjustments, the document was 16 pages long. And because they were yet to be invited, there were no responses. Minimally, I would expect my local guide will be 25 to 30 pages long. From the state, I only exported my Michigan House and Michigan Senate races, 6 in total. Sharing that PDF option is beginning to look a pretty good source. In conclusion, have patience. Don't get frustrated and be sure to reach out for help when needed. Remember, we're all volunteers, we're not experts. If you have questions, feel free to reach out to the Voter Service Director or your Vote 411 Director. Thank you.